Liberal Dan Radio presents
Fat Man Rant.
There has been a lawsuit that has been filed by 17 states that advocates of persons with disabilities will say threatens disability protections. Over a dozen states, according to disabilityscoop.com and various other websites, are seeking to invalidate one of the nation's key disability rights laws. Advocates are warning that this jeopardizes access to healthcare, education, and more. Texas, because of course it was Texas, and 16 other states are calling for an end to Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act. And the suit is known as Texas v. Becerra. So, what do these people have to say about this? Georgia Republican Attorney General Chris Carr insists that the lawsuit wouldn't affect existing disability protections. He says it merely aims to reverse the Biden's administration addition of gender dysphoria to the law's protected disabilities. Quote, the constitutionality of 504 was never in question. Let's just put that here again, and I'll move this over. It says right here, the constitutionality of 504 was never in question, Carr said in a statement to State Line. So there we go. One of the Republican AGs is claiming that this will not affect existing disabilities. They are just mad that, we'll deal with other people like, trans folk and gender dysphoria and putting them under the requirements of being able to get a 504 plan. And let's go look at the suit, shall we? The text of the suit. Count 2, we'll skip count 1 for a second. The final rule is arbitrary and capricious. All other allegations are repeated and realleged, fully set forth herein. APA requires courts to set aside agency action that is arbitrary and capricious, abusive direction, blah, blah, blah. So they're talking about the final rule here. So one would think that if you believed the Attorney General of Georgia, that this is just a matter of just this particular action that was taken on the part of the previous administration, right? According to them, the constitutionality of 504 is not in question. Let's scroll down to the next section. Count 3. Section 504 is unconstitutional. What? I thought the Georgia Republican just said that it wasn't under threat, that the constitutionality of Section 504 was never in question. The lawsuit specifically states that Section 504 is unconstitutional. Which brings us to this screen because, I have to do a rant. I have children who have had 504 plans. 504 plans are necessary and needed for individuals who are in an education setting because it provides them with the accommodations they need to be able to get stuff done, to be able to, be effective students. Now, some people might not have heard of a 504 plan. Maybe you heard of an IEP. IEPs include accommodations, specialized instruction, and, quote, related services. So, for example, if you're speech delayed and you're in school and you need to get speech therapy in school, that would be part of an IEP because it's not just accommodations for your speech issues. It's also requires related services so you can get speech therapy in school. I know this because my oldest son had an IEP for speech therapy that he no longer has because he no longer is delayed speech. He's speaking normally now. But if it wasn't without the IEP, he wouldn't have had what he needed. Now, of course, he also has ADHD, which is covered by 504 plans. And 504 plans include accommodations there as well. So the school has to give accommodations to students as needed to be able to deal with whatever issue it is that created the need for a 504 plan to be created in the first place. 504 plans and IEPs both act as contracts between the family and the schools to make sure that the schools are giving them the services that they need. So why the hell would you put this at risk? Well, I know why. Because Republicans don't give a crap about persons with disabilities. Republicans don't give a rat's ass about the harm that these cuts, that these actions are doing, or that these lawsuits that they bring will cause to the people. And of course, they're going to lie to your face, because they just lied to everybody when they said the constitutionality of 504 isn't in question. Yes, the hell it is, and it's part of the goddamn lawsuit. And to any of y'all Republicans who haven't been listening, I've been telling you that we can't allow the Republicans to gain a single inch more power. You can't allow these MAGA conservatives to gain any more power. And I've been saying this as well before the last election. But this is what happens when you allow the Republicans to gain more power. You put at threat the ability of students that have special needs, that have disabilities, that have issues that would require a 504 plan. You're putting that at risk. And if the 504 plan is at risk, then who's to say that the IEPs aren't next? And then kids with speech therapy, with speech delayed speech issues, people that need other specialized instruction, like people with autism, or people who are diagnosed on the autism spectrum, however you do want to word that for yourself. All of that's being put at risk because, back in 2016, we were worried about her emails. Or, they were worried about Joe Biden being too old, or whatever racist and sexist reasons they came up with not voting for Vice President Harris, even in states where Democrats won statewide. You had Democrats winning statewide, but the Democrats who won statewide were either white men or white. Some combination of the two. So whatever racism and bigotry and sexism that y'all had to cause, Donald Trump to win this time again and to allow Republicans to gain power in these state houses or whatever, you're screwing these kids. Not literally, proverbially. We're not Epstein here. We're not talking about that. These kids are getting screwed over by this. And who's responsible for defending the Section 504? It would be Trump and the Trump administration. Do we believe that the Trump administration is going to put up any sort of defense for this law to be in place? Or is he just going to not challenge it and just let the courts rule against Section 504 and give the states what they want and let them rule the 504 plan unconstitutional just because these conservatives don't like the fact that gender dysphoria was included in things that might require a 504 plan? So maybe somebody who's trans can pee in peace or something like that. God forbid. Anyway, what do you think? Are you crazy conservative moron who thinks that this is a good idea and is going to justify anything that these Republican states do, justify anything that this presidency does or doesn't do if it comes to not defending this in court? You leave your comments down below. If you agree with me, leave your comments down below as well. Remember to like the video, share, subscribe to the channel. Of course, unless you're a Nazi or somebody wanting to take away the ability of disabled children with disabilities to actually, get the education that they need. Have a good day.